Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, other than food and water, shelter is at the very top of the list of human needs. Not only is housing typically a person's single largest investment, it also has come to signify part of the American dream. Today, our focus is on housing, from who's building them to who needs them. And we begin with a big trend in housing that's actually really small.
I've run into a 68-year-old. She's selling her traditional home. She's sick of cleaning and maintaining it, and she really wants to live simpler. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I have a brand new married couple that's interested, and they want to travel and to be able to just pull their house and live minimally.
We look at the gap between housing needs and housing demand, and we'll see how the laws of supply and demand have started its own trend.
So we are here to help redefining the American dreams, but in a smaller footprint.
Well, no matter the size or the design, furnishings can make all the difference in a home's character. Blaine Singletary introduces us to an Oklahoman who knows his interiors.
And there's nothing like standing back at the end of a job and seeing it all completed and the reward from seeing what your work done and it completed and people coming in and enjoying it.
And we end our day at the state capitol to look at the painstaking work of recreating the craftsmanship of the past. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by Career Tech, a job for every Oklahoman and a workforce for every company. With additional support from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. I'm Rob McClendon. Well, 2017 looks to be a good year for housing in the U.S. That despite the fact that interest rates for home mortgages may hit their highest point in years. According to the National Association of Realtors, existing home sales rose by close to 6% last year, while new home sales rose by almost 18%. And this has put pressure on inventory, which typically drives prices up. Combine that with the fact that first-time home buyers are looking for something affordable, while more established homeowners, well, they may be looking to scale down. So for the first time since 2009, home sizes, well, they're going down, which has led to one of the biggest trends in new home building that's actually really small. Tiny houses have become all the rage, from minimalistic millennials looking for something simple to baby boomers longing for less responsibility and just less stuff. Here's our Austin Moore.
When Crystalline Gray and her husband Mike bought property south of Stillwater, Oklahoma, they knew they were going to tear down the existing house and build new.
The house needed too many repairs in order to fix it or make it to where it was modernized and the electrical, plumbing, and things like that were up to date.
In fact, the entire property was overgrown. So rather than building the house they eventually want, they started with this small cabin.
It was a lot easier than coming up with a house plan and knowing where to put the house on the property, since there's a lot of different places where you can do that. Full-size stove, you have the microwave, cabinets.
The challenge came in the move. The cabin has 630 square feet, a tight space for the newlyweds trying to consolidate two households.
Mike would tell you that that's been a lot simpler and a lot easier. I would tell you that that's been horrible, because we went from big closets and big bathrooms, big rooms, to very small spaces. It's figuring out what you can put in here, what doesn't fit in here, what you absolutely have to have, what you don't need to have.
So some pain in transition, but a final home that is not without its benefits.
So once in a while, you miss certain things, but it's pushed us outside, and it's made us do probably different things than what you normally would in a house.
So with the vaulted ceilings and the open windows that pass light through, the space doesn't feel too small. But you put two adults there, a teenager, you throw in an ice storm and you lock them in place, It's pretty tight, but it works for the Grays for now. Still, for some, this space is overkill because there is, in the real estate industry right now, a counterculture, if you will, that really enjoys tiny homes.
What makes a house tiny is something arguable. Some insist a tiny home have less than 200 square feet, but most seem to settle in the 400 to 500 square foot range for an upper limit. In some places, they are built on traditional foundations, but in others, they must be mounted on wheels. That is because local zoning ordinances often don't allow for a single-family dwelling this small. So with wheels, they are covered by RV laws. What does unify these minuscule homes is the reasons homeowners choose them: lower mortgage, lower environmental impact, and a general decluttering and simplification of one's life.
Oh, we loved it.
It was great.
They use
It's
all those.
amazing.
Yeah, that one's. There's a lot more to that than you thought there'd be.
That appeal was evident at the Home and Garden Show in Oklahoma City.
We can put a ventless unit, which we are wired for. We just decided not to do it on this one.
Tulsa-based tiny home builder Michelle Wunder.
I've run into a 68-year-old. She's selling her traditional home. She's sick of cleaning and maintaining it, and she really wants to live simpler. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I have a brand new married couple that's interested, and they want to travel and to be able to just pull their house and live minimally. So I'm finding the range goes from grandma to right out of high school and everything in between.
Part of that appeal is that the scale allows for a home with high-end features for the cost of an SUV.
We're going probably $2,000 to $2,500 per linear foot of trailer. So if you've got a 10-foot trailer, you could probably expect to pay $20,000-ish. If you're looking at a 20-foot trailer, you'd probably fall into the $40,000 to $50,000 price range, depending on the finishes that you want in the home. So that it's going to vary. You know, if you want granite countertops, you can expect that to be on the high end.
But for this crowd, willing to stand in line for a quick look, it isn't just about chucking it all. For some, it's about having it all.
In Oklahoma, I think that the tiny home movement is going to be largely based on the hunting and lake type crowd, fishing, and just people being able to have a second home, the kind of the people who are a little bit older and have more fluid income and stuff like that.
Another place these tiny homes are catching on is in education. Cy Bowles teaches construction at Meridian Technology Center in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
We teach students all aspects of residential construction. So we're going to build a tiny house as a kind of a capstone project this year. They're fine-tuning those framing skills, and they're also learning a lot about how to put a small project together, because they had to draw it out and they had to do all the planning, do all the estimating, because we want to broaden the mind as well as develop the hands. The more they work with the stuff between their ears, the more valuable they're going to be.
So if I go from a 3,000 square foot home to a 200 square foot home, I'm going to build it the exact same way. It's just how much material I'm putting into it.
Christopher Brubaker has completed the construction program at Meridian and is now studying electrical and masonry in hopes of becoming a general contractor.
This experience changed my attitude to education drastically. I hated school. I hated school with a passion. But having this hands-on approach has changed it where I wake up every morning, I'm excited because there's something new I'm going to learn that's going to help me later on. And that was part of it was learning this is something that I'm not just going to learn so I can take a test. This is something I'm learning so I can be productive in society and life. I can make money.
Crystalline Gray will be looking for a contractor like Christopher to build her next house. Something a bit more traditional in size, leaving the cabin for family, friends, and weekend rentals. But she says she may find herself missing the small space.
It'll be probably strange on the other end to go back into a full-size house where you have all that extra space and stuff, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that would be something where when you get there, you go, oh my gosh, we just don't need all this.
So while tiny houses may be on the extreme end of scaling down, the National Association of Home Buyers says prospective buyers are increasingly willing to trade square footage for amenities. Now, at the top of their list, buyers are looking for a separate laundry room, energy-efficient features from windows to appliances, and programmable thermostats. Now, also topping off buyers' wish lists are patios with good exterior lighting and a full bath on the main level. Now, some of the features losing their popularity in 2017 are cork floors, pet washing stations, outdoor kitchens, and sunrooms. Now, when we return, we look at the affordability of housing here in Oklahoma.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon with Rob McClendon. Weekly insight into your changing world.
Well, an Oklahoma company called Modern Blocks has a new take on making housing more affordable. The new startup hopes to mass produce shipping containers that they convert into livable spaces, meeting the needs of people wanting to live green and cheaply. OETA's Liz Exon takes us for a look.
There are photos and videos across the internet of unique homes built out of shipping containers. Many are elaborately designed and have high-end price tags. Repurposing shipping containers has become big business in the United States because they're so plentiful. The United States imports more goods than any other country in the world, and those commodities arrive in containers at U.S. shipping ports. Because the U.S. imports more than it exports, many of those containers never return to their home countries.
All the containers ship it with the cargo, everything is expensive to ship it back. So that's why all these containers stuck in the U.S.
Ben Lowe decided to capitalize on the abundance and affordability of the containers when he entered a business plan competition in college. The concept has now materialized into a company called Modern Blocks. Outside the Meridian Technology Center in Stillwater, Ben and two other Modern Blocks partners, also OSU graduates, display a prototype of what they hope will eventually be mass-produced. It's a 45-foot shipping container. From the outside, it's not really all that appealing. But inside, it has its allures. There is a long living space with high ceilings, giving the 300 square feet a more spacious feel. There are finished floors, a small kitchen, an elevated platform for a mattress with storage underneath, and a bathroom with a high-end shower. Privacy included thanks to a hip-looking sliding barn door. Solar power provides lighting and allows it to be used on or off the electrical grid.
So we are here to help redefining the American dreams, but in a smaller footprint.
Ben and another partner, Swapnil Deshpande, believe what sets Modern Blocks apart from other container businesses is their price point.
We have to bring in a product, or we have to bring in something so that everybody can have that American dream, which is safer, an eco-friendlier dream, as well as it's affordable and modern.
The price tag for this prototype is nearly $50,000, but Swapnil says the base model will be a more affordable $35,000. Ben says another advantage of a Modern Blocks home is that unlike a manufactured home, their structure can withstand high winds.
If this is on the floor itself, you can withstand up to 150 miles per hour. And then 250 miles if you anchor, means like putting cement columns underneath it and kind of bolt it in place.
Another partner in the business, Lee Easton, sees Modern Blocks as an Oklahoma business that will help support the world.
If there is a need, let's say hurricane, tornado, some disaster happens, and there needs to be a very quick turnaround for housing or shelter or whatever it might be, someone can go to our website and have that order made and shipped within a month.
Lee designed and completed the first Modern Blocks order. It was for the Inner Circle Vodka Bar in Tulsa's popular Brady district. For its warm weather crowds that like to mingle outside, a permanent, sturdy bar was needed, and Lee delivered. LED lighting outlines the structure in which bartenders can move seamlessly as they pour and fill drink orders. Other businesses are in negotiations with Modern Blocks. One hopes to create cheap workforce housing for employees working on projects outside metropolitan areas. One visitor to the prototype thinks it might be the right fit for his son's 4-year stint at OSU.
And my son can use this for 4 years. And He says that'll be way more cheaper than what I pay for his dorm right now.
Guiding the young entrepreneurs is Justin Hazzard, who is the Director for Business Development at Meridian Technology, which helps early-stage companies work toward firm footing.
They're very optimistic, but at the same time, they base their decisions on reality. And so it's great to be a part of a company and see them grow, see them taking their first sales orders and kind of be a part of that early stage.
Swapnil says Modern Blocks has already developed thousands of followers through social networking.
Through our Instagram, we get inquiries from Australia, Sweden, Norway.
While currently based in Stillwater, Modern Blocks is looking at manufacturing sites in Tulsa, where they hope to build a thriving business in the near future.
Now, in addition to homes, there's also a planned development in Tulsa called the Box Yard, which will feature unique retail concepts in shipping container storefronts in downtown.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon. Recreating the past. But first, the role that workforce plays in helping people attain the American dream of homeownership.
Well, whether you go big or small with a new home, furnishing the interior can sometimes be even more of a challenge than the exterior. It's a lot to consider, with a whole industry of woodworking and surfacing springing up around it. Blaine Singletary introduces us to an Oklahoman who learned the tricks of the trade early and is now giving them back.
From flooring to countertops to cabinets, your new house's shopping list doesn't end at the front door. That's where Terry Owen comes in.
I'm a territory sales manager for ISC Surfaces, which is a woodworking distribution center.
ISC, or Interstate Supply Company, acts as a middleman of sorts between the tile and woodworking manufacturers and the builders who help put it all together in your home.
So we sell to the cabinet maker, to the kitchen designer. We call on architects and designers and get them to specify our products and commercial projects and that kind of stuff. If you were going to do a kitchen remodel, or maybe you're building a new house and you're going to do a kitchen, or maybe you have a business and you need commercial millwork, a lot of the products, hinges and drawer guides, surfacing that would be in your project might come from ISC.
Terry enjoys his job in sales, but that's far from the only position he's held in this industry.
It's a neat position for me now because it ties back to what I've done in the past, and a lot of the former people either that I used to work for or I used to work with are now my customers today.
His over 30-year-long career got its start in the last 2 years of high school. As a student at Putnam City High, he attended Francis Tuttle's carpentry program and also participated in the annual Skills USA competition where, as the name implies, your hands-on skills are put to the test.
You don't know what you're doing, what you're going to build or anything. You've got a small materials list and you show up, you've got 6 to 8 hours to build your project and get as close to complete as you can, and at the end of the day, the best project wins.
His education and handiwork got him a job right out of high school in a cabinet shop. And that's why he says he gives back to the program that gave him that start.
With ISC's help and with Bloom Hardware's help, we've donated some material for the state cabinet making contest this year and also for last year's state cabinet making contest. So we try to give back to the community where we can and try to help place students coming out of the carpentry program and help find them jobs with who's my customers today.
Another way he does that is by judging the competition and securing other professionals in his field to do the same.
It's good to get some industry professionals to be the judges in that, and you never know, sometimes maybe those guys might want to hire somebody who's coming out of career tech.
Literally being able to see what an applicant is capable of can be a huge help to employers, and Terry says that's what makes career tech really stand out, especially in the midst of a skills gap.
It's a great program. More and more we need people to work in the trades industries. It's kind of something that needs to happen with technology the way that it is today. There's not the craftsmen that there used to be back in the 70s and 80s. So it's certainly a good lead into a great career and a very rewarding career.
No matter if a house or building is new or needs a remodel, there will always be a project and pride for those in this trade.
Something that's really great about working in this trade is the gratification of working on something, maybe a large project or a small project, and then seeing that project from raw plywood or raw hardwood created into a cabinet or a bar in a restaurant. And there's nothing like standing back at the end of a job and seeing it all completed and the reward from seeing what your work done and it completed and people coming in and enjoying it.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about Skills USA, we have plenty of videos from past competitions on our website at okhorizon.com under our Value Added section.
Horizon is at your fingertips. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to catch the segments you may have missed and our latest new content as it happens.
Well, if you've ever restored a home, you know fixing other people's renovations is often the hardest part. And Oklahoma's state capitol, well, it's no different. In our ongoing series on the Oklahoma Capitol restoration, we look at the work underway to bring back the historic lighting.
Our capitals are really temples of democracy, and I'm very passionate about the fact that they should be treated as temples of democracy. They should be kept for generations and generations. I've seen a lot of damage to our public buildings over the years. When fluorescent lighting came in, it was very efficient. It was much more efficient than incandescent. But during the 50s and 60s, a lot of these beautiful fixtures were taken out of all these public institutions, replaced with strip lighting, fluorescent lighting, 4-foot tubes mostly. And although it provides a lot of light, it doesn't have any art. There's no character to the fixtures that were originally designed to the building. And this building has lots and lots of character. It's a gorgeous building. What happened in the late 20s after the boom times, money was short. The design of the fixtures is exquisite, but to save money, they made many of the fixtures out of plaster. Some were covered, copper plated over plaster, so that the ornamental design was maintained, but there was cost savings in the materials. These are large scroll arms. They're made out of plaster. They're not too heavy. I'd say this probably weighs 10 to 15 pounds. If this were bronze, it would probably weigh 35 or 40 pounds. These then were copper plated, so there's a thin coat of metal over the plaster, and then that is faux finished to look like antique bronze. When properly cared for, it can be restored. So the fixtures that are hanging in some of your spaces that have been there since the building was built, and they're still in very good shape, and those can be restored. But some of the ones that were removed and put into storage, well, a lot of those fixtures then from 40 years of lying in an attic somewhere are no longer really fit to be restored. They're damaged enough that they should be replicated. These lovely examples came from upstairs in the attic, and they're examples. There's a lot of things up there that can be saved. This is an example of some glass that we can actually reuse. We can clean this glass and reuse it. We can make molds off the original fixtures and replicate those and reuse whatever parts and pieces we can, and what we can't reuse we'll replicate. This is solid copper. The cost of casting solid copper again is quite expensive, and when we restored it you can see the bright red color. So we cast this one in bronze, and it's a mixture of metals. It has spun brass, yellow brass, and a cast bronze casting here and another spinning. And these are patinated to an antique bronze finish, because some of the fixtures in the building have an antique bronze finish, which is fairly similar to what's here. Do you have some flush mount fixtures in the building like this now that just have a glass dome in here? Inside our company, we call this stuff ceiling jewelry. The things of beauty on the interior of these buildings are what make you smile when you walk in. I was one time in a meeting with a federal judge, and she had a bunch of school children in. And she said, "Why do I wear a robe, not regular street clothes?" And the answer was that it's a sign of her profession. It's a sign of the magnificence of our legal system. And so our capitals are symbols of what we believe, and they should be treated with respect.
Want to see more stories like this? All our segments are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV.
February is Black History Month. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we look at not just the history, but the future of African Americans in the state.
The significance of our Honey Springs Visitor Center is the remarkable number of partners that have been brought together to put a project on in a community that, frankly, most of Oklahoma has forgotten about.
Oklahoma's Black History on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, that is going to wrap us up for today, but you can see more of any of our stories on our website at okhorizon.com. Follow us throughout the week on Twitter at OKHorizonTV, or just like us on Facebook, where we do post our weekly stories. Thanks for including us as part of your day. I'm Rob McClendon. Hope to see you back here next week.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education, with additional support from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry.